There has been a lot of drama all over the Destiny community this past week after the release of the new Vow of the Disciple raid. The raid on its face is really cool. It's fun to dive into a pyramid ship and face new enemies for the first time. Unfortunately, the raid race was marred by major connection issues that stalled some teams for many hours, mine included. These connection issues caused Bungie to extend the contest period from 24 hours to 48, including the ability to earn what at least used to be called the Day 1 emblem. This may have been a little more time than needed. 12 hours would have been perfect to allow good teams with connection issues to get a little rest and get their clear. Overall, I really can't fault the decision, however, and it's something Bungie needs to have a plan to avoid in the future. Ultimately, what I really want to talk about today, though, is the experience that people had when contest mode was turned off on Monday. Normal raids are boring. There remains absolutely zero combat challenge in any remaining Destiny 2 normal raids, including Vow of the Disciple. Enemies don't hit hard, and health pools are shallow. We can almost just breathe and bosses will fall over, and there are many parts where you can literally walk away from the game in the middle of an encounter and face zero consequences from enemies. The only real level of challenge you may face is from mechanics, but once those are mastered, which many teams already have, there is zero challenge going through a raid. They lose their luster, they lose their fun. People have to resort to speedruns or solo, duo, or trio challenges to help keep things interesting. Even challenges get dominated early, with trio runs being completed mere hours after contest mode being lifted, and quite a few people getting it done that first weekend of a raid release. With contest mode being extended an extra 24 hours for Vow, it did bring a situation where more people were able to attempt the raid at that difficulty for the first time, with nearly 35,000 people able to complete it within the first 48 hours. Some people started farming it after their first clear, and it became progressively easier and easier as mechanics and loadouts are mastered and optimized. Once contest was over, the raid felt empty for those players. There were still, however, people who fell short of their contest completion, but I do believe that with enough time, there are many more people capable of beating the raid at that difficulty. Here's the problem though. A lot of people are intimidated by even normal raids. Social anxiety keeps many people away from them, as well as the fear of the challenge they will face. I'm sure Bungie has their own fear that if they step up the normal difficulty level of raids, it will get even less engagement in an activity that takes a lot of studio resources to create. Bungie did begin introducing master difficulty of the Vault of Glass, but it does require quite a bit of level grinding to engage in them and is essentially off the table for the vast majority of teams until late in the season, forcing them into more boring normal versions. I think there are a handful of options that Bungie could look at to satisfy everyone. The casuals who hate having to find a fire team, the average player who wants a bit of a challenge, as well as the hardcore who wants to push themselves to the limits. There are 3 things I would like Bungie to do to help make raiding more challenging and also more approachable for all players. First, get rid of normal mode raids. They're either too intimidating to some players and then too easy for the rest. Contest mode should be made permanent. The name of the difficulty should be changed to Legendary to match the popular campaign difficulty introduced with Witch Queen. I do feel that the contest handicap should remain at -20 power, even if it is a bit higher than what we have in the campaign. Normal rules with revives would stay the same and should reward pinnacle loot still on the first clear each week. So, you might be saying, that sounds cool, but I thought you wanted to make raids more accessible. How could that possibly serve that purpose? Well, we could do that by introducing an easy mode version of the raids. These would be match-made like mechanic-based seasonal activities while eliminating darkness zones. Bungie should allow unlimited revives and give more generous timers to complete various portions of the mechanics. The lethality of enemies can be what normal mode offers currently. This will allow people to go in and experience mechanics of the raid without any real consequences. If they die, they can revive and go again. Things like missing callouts for oracles or riven eyes can cause a death, but not a wipe, allowing them to be brute force through to start damage phases. Obviously, making raids essentially unfailable will also make them much more shallow, so for that reason I would reduce the drops to a power drop at best and maintain the weekly lockout. This is meant to serve as a jumping off point to encourage people to engage with more difficult versions, and not meant to be a primary source of loot. Finally, what about Master Mode? Well, we've really only had one Master raid, but we know that there aren't much mechanical changes between a normal and Master version today. You can get some slightly better stat rolls on armor and adept weapons, along with some upgrade materials, but overall, they don't really feel rewarding enough for most players to put extra effort into grinding them out past getting a title. I would like to generally keep the master version of the raid the same as what we saw with VoG, like having more challenging enemies and a higher light level. The one thing I would like to see here is to make it farmable like dungeons are today. Allow Spoils of Conquest to be used at the final chest of Master to purchase a repeatable bounty. This bounty should require completions of every encounter and should expire on the weekly reset. Completing this bounty could reward additional powerful rewards on each subsequent completion. Perhaps not for every encounter, but something like getting 3 raid drops after repeated master runs each week should serve as a good reward to keep people grinding the harder content. Bungie has really been firing on all cylinders recently with Destiny, and while master raids are a step in the right direction, I do feel that a small adjustment to raids in general can help increase engagements and make them more rewarding and fun for all players, regardless of skill or experience. What are your thoughts? Do you have any other ideas on ways that Bungie can work to improve raid or dungeon content in Destiny 2? If so, please leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.